Representative Mike Dovilla, welcome to Message from the House.
Thanks so much.
I want to talk about some major topics today here with you, but I do want to start a little basic so folks can learn a little bit about you. This is your second time serving in the legislature. Share a little bit about your background and your district that you represent.
Sure. Well, I am a fake freshman, as I call myself. This time I served here from 2011 to 2016, so 8 years away. It was a busy 8 years. I've been a naval officer since 2002, so I had a couple of years on active duty during the time I was out of here. Also started and finished a doctorate in education, focused on civic education, which is one of my policy passion areas, and then helped start a nonprofit in Cleveland for the U.S. Navy. We've got the fourth ship named for the city of Cleveland in American history that's under construction right now. So I was one of the first 5 volunteers for that, and then employee number 1. So it was a busy time in between the periods that I've been here. And then earlier in my career, I worked for President Bush and Senator Voinovich. And then actually one more thing between that I should have mentioned was service in the Trump administration back at OPM, Office of Personnel Management.
Wow. One would argue that you're overqualified for this job. I don't know if anyone said that before.
It's a privilege to be back.
Absolutely. You did mention Cleveland. I have to ask, I feel like everyone from Cleveland is very passionate about their sports. Do you have a favorite Cleveland sports team if you had to pick?
We're a baseball family.
Okay.
It's always been the Indians, and I still call them the Indians.
I get it.
It's force of habit and intentional.
Okay.
But as we're recording this, what a run over the last number of weeks here.
I know.
Fact, tied up in the AL Central as of last night, so we're eager for the game this evening.
I know. It's exciting. You got to get back for that for sure. Browns, fine as usual. I guess you guys have a leg up right now.
They're coming along, and we're eager and excited about the new stadium project just outside of the district.
Yes. I had to ask all my friends in Cleveland, that's their biggest passion project are their sports. And thank you for that. I wanted to ask, with all the different things that you've done in your career, what motivated you to come back to the legislature?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I've been asked this a lot during the campaign last time and since I've returned. And it really was a matter of deep concern about the direction of the nation and the state. We're in a better spot now, I think, 9 months into the president's administration. And with new leadership back here in the House, it's terrific to be back with Speaker Huffman. I served with him before, and that was part of the reason as well, was really to get back here, work with him, help put together a team of experienced leaders who know their way around public policy, the budget, a number of other issues, and help advance this place. So that really was the desire to be back on the playing field and making a difference for the state and the nation.
Lots of legislation that we've all, you all have been working on. How's it been?
It's good. I spent most of my time at the beginning of this year, the first 6 months, working through the budget at the side of Chairman Stewart, which has been a real pleasure, as I indicated on the floor as well. We're Army and Navy enlisted and officers,
oh, nice.
So we're a good combo together. But that was a big push at the beginning, getting back here. And it's a real honor to be able to serve as the vice chairman. And, I think based on what the speaker said, hopefully that's a reflection of past experience and a way to be able to give back in a meaningful way here. Since then, we've been able to start moving ahead through the summer on a number of different bills that are either out and about and or in stages of development at this point that'll be introduced soon.
I want to turn to your region again. One of the issues that I know that you have been vocal about is the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency, most known as NOACA. For those who are not familiar with the agency, what do they do, and why should your constituents care about what the agency does?
So NOACA is what is known as a Metropolitan Planning Organization, an MPO, that was formed under a federal law that goes back to the early 1960s, back when, at the time, President Kennedy and then President Johnson were working on housing and urban development and really infrastructure, transportation type issues after the construction of the Eisenhower interstate system around the country in the 50s. And really since that time, that construction continues around the country. And they were really designed to coordinate infrastructure, roads, bridges, these types of things. Over the years, a number of different organizations like NOACA have really grown and gotten outside of the guardrails of what they were intended to do. And so a number of folks from around the region and from within my district approached me and said, is there anything that you can do about this to get them to focus on what they're supposed to be doing, which is coordinating infrastructure in the greater Cleveland region. There's another one down here in central Ohio called MORPC. They all have sort of awkward acronyms to them.
Yeah.
But I think there are 21 MPOs around the state. Ours happens to be composed of 5 counties, Cuyahoga, Lorain, Medina, Lake, and Geauga. And some of the folks in the outlying counties feel disenfranchised. Some of the people in areas like mine, suburban districts outside of Cleveland, also feel disenfranchised because there's a disproportionate number of votes that serve on this board that represent sort of big Cuyahoga County, city of Cleveland, and regional organizations to the exclusion of mayors that represent suburban areas like the one I represent.
Interesting. It is using taxpayer money, correct?
Correct. So the folks who serve on these boards are largely elected. And under the original construction, if you go back and look at it, it's county commissioners who are providing the money. It's county engineers who are providing the planning and expertise in construction. Over the years, some MPOs like NOACA have added on all of these additional members. Some are not elected, some are community members, they serve in different roles, but they all have a vote. And we've gotten to the point now where NOACA has 46 voting members on it. That's almost half the House of Representatives.
Wow.
Covering a 5-county region. There's 99 of us here covering almost 12 million people. It's really unwieldy. I don't know how they really even coordinate. The meetings are hours and hours long just to get through the business agenda. And then they're focused on things that are just outside the lines of infrastructure. They're painting a mural on the side of their headquarters building downtown. That's nice from an aesthetic perspective. I don't know that it's core to their mission. They're advancing a climate action plan, which really, again, is not connected to what they're supposed to be doing. They're into all sorts of things like, do you have a gas stove in your house rather than an electric stove? Do we need more bike lanes here? Do we need a walkable city, the 15-minute city, all these sorts of things? We're all for strong urban areas in our state and in our nation, but there's also a role to be played in the suburban areas and the outlying areas. And folks feel disenfranchised and outvoted on these boards when I think 26 of the voting members out of the 46 are from Cuyahoga County. If you go just within the county, it's 12 versus 11, Cleveland versus the suburbs. So the point is the core city or the core county can always outvote everybody else who's part of it, which is really anti-democratic when you stop and think about it.
Right. That's what I wanted to lead into. You know, your argument for this and the problems that you're seeing with this, it a little bit overregulation by a government entity?
Yeah, overreach by unelected bureaucrats is the way I look at it. And that's really one of the themes that I'm focused on upon my return here, both in this area and some others that I think we'll talk about, and then some others that we're looking at down the road.
Yeah.
This system of government that we have is a system of self-rule, ordered freedom and liberty that belongs to the people and their elected representatives. It doesn't belong to people who are not elected, who then get in positions of power, take large salaries that are larger than the average Ohioan. Most Ohioans would probably look at that and say, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Focus on what you're supposed to be doing and serve the people.
Absolutely. What have you tried to do so far, or what are you hoping to do to address the problem?
So Chairman Stewart and I introduced House Bill 445 just recently. I'm not sure that's even been assigned to committee at this point, so we'll see where that goes. But it's really designed to get that balance back in place. So under the bill, no one county would have a majority vote. And so, if counties want to split off and do it a different way, they can do that, or we just need to somehow even up the numbers so that there is really equal representation rather than this. They call it proportional representation, but there's nothing in the Code of Federal Regulations or in federal law that requires them to have proportional representation where the core county or the main city has a larger number of votes than everybody else. So that really is a big piece of it. The ability to allow for counties to move from one MPO to another if the cross-county commuting patterns indicate that ought to be the case. So we'll just use an example. If the county of Medina has more than 25% of its residents that daily are commuting to, say, Summit County, and that's the case for a lot of folks who move along State Route 18, they're going back and forth between there and Akron, then they should be able to, upon the vote of their county commissioners and the approval of the governor of the state, shift from one metropolitan planning organization to another where they feel like their infrastructure needs can be better served.
You would think that would be in place with just how much cities and areas are growing right now in the state of Ohio.
That's right. I mean, the large growth areas are those sort of exurban counties that are just outside the major metropolitan areas. Mm-hmm. So whether it's Warren County or Delaware County or in my area, Medina and Lorain, these are the areas for growth. And that's where the infrastructure needs to be going to provide this type of support that's really needed for the area.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to another agency, this time statewide Medicaid. You led the charge on new auditing language that was included in the budget for this agency. What does that work to do?
So we introduced House Bill 356, and then I was successful in getting that in the conference committee report on the budget. After the House passed the budget back in early April, I was able to focus on a matter that a constituent of mine in Strongsville put on my radar regarding Medicaid fraud within the age, blind, disabled population of Medicaid, ABD. That's the primary Medicaid population that goes back to the program's creation back in the 1960s as a federal-state partnership. And what they found through a contractor was there was a significant number of people on the system within the ABD population that had an amount of assets in a checking or savings account. And this is verifiable through the company that was doing it that has access to about 92% of bank accounts in the country. They were beyond the $2,000 asset limitation and still pulling down Medicaid benefits. Some of the folks who are in this population are literally millionaires. They either have a trust that exceeds $1 million, or certainly folks below that level, but who are making a substantial amount of money beyond having $2,000 in the account. Medicaid needs to be preserved as a system for people who actually legitimately need it in the state. And so when folks point the finger at us and say, you're trying to take away Medicaid dollars, we're trying to protect Medicaid dollars so the people who need them and get people who don't off the system who are really cheating those who do. So we were successful in getting an audit provision into the budget that was introduced as that bill originally. It has three pieces to it. One, it requires the auditor of state to conduct an audit of the ABD population. Two, it requires the Ohio Department of Medicaid to release the relevant data. This has been a problem in the past, and it actually been vetoed 2 or 3 times previously by the governor over supposed privacy issues that really aren't there. It's another state agency that we're looking at. If we should be trusting anyone, it's Auditor Faber to look at this in his office with his staff and be able to make these determinations. And then it provided an appropriation for the auditor's office to be able to do this so he's not taken out of his current budget.
Absolutely. You mentioned something very important about the other bill, House Bill 364, 65?
356.
356. I just had the last two switched. You said that you are waiting for the audit to come back. Do you have any kind of time estimation of when you guys are hoping to get that back?
It's a big project, Olivia, and I think it's going to take a while. They will probably have to retain an outside contractor to work their way through all the data. So I'm actually expecting that in the coming weeks, that request, since it exceeds the amount, will come before controlling board for approval.
Wow.
So we'll see it when it hits there, maybe next month or in November. We'll see how it goes.
That's how much of a large-scale issue this was.
Yeah, it's not something that even with the $5 million appropriation that we granted within the auditor's office that his team would be able to handle on its own. So that was why we wanted dollars in place for him to go retain whoever it ends up being who wins the bid to do some of the work.
Wow. What conversations with the different agencies, and how do you feel that it's the legislature's responsibility to help support these agencies and help these agencies direct them so things like this in the future are caught sooner? Or is this just something that a bunch of people had really bad intentions and fortunately you caught it? What's your opinion on that?
I think there's 3 parts to being a good legislator. And the part that's often overlooked is it's legislating, it's constituent services, and oversight is the piece that's often overlooked. And we're in a condition in the country really, I can nerd out on the history of this with you, but I mean,
I would love to.
Really
love to hear
goes
it.
back like 100 plus years.
Okay.
Back to the progressive era and the concept that we need expert, unelected, allegedly nonpartisan people who are working these issues rather than the people's elected representatives. I'm a strict constructionist when it comes to how the nation's put together, how the government works. I would much prefer to have greater accountability with people who serve in roles like mine. And then if you don't like the job that I'm doing, you've got a choice every 2 years to go find somebody else. We don't have that with unelected bureaucrats who are insulated from accountability largely. And let me be clear, having served both with Senator Voinovich and then twice at the Office of Personnel Management in D.C., I respect what our public employees do. And most of them are doing a good job. But it really is easy to get insulated by the bureaucracy, the systems, and to lose focus on what is supposed to be the actual mission. It's our job as legislators, as elected officials, and with our elected executive branch counterparts to make sure that this system of government is accountable and responsive to the people who send us here. It's their money that we're spending.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, you have a local example and you have a statewide example of why that is so important. I wanted to ask, we more or less answered, why it's important to keep the agencies accountable. I will open the floor up and see if you have anything else that you're working on, any of the sectors that you would like to preview or that you're looking forward to in the next couple months.
Sure. We have there's a natural gas regulation bill that Representative Tex Fisher and I have been working on for a while. That just had its 5th hearing today in Energy. So committees are back and they're working hard as we head into the fall, hoping to get that done. There's a counterpart bill in the Senate that Chairman Wilkin is working as well. So those are House Bill 142 and Senate Bill 103. So hoping to get that out this fall. Other things, preview of coming attractions, working on a bill to try and focus on the spending side of government. There's a lot of focus right now, of course, on property tax. That's the tax side of things. We have something like probably 36 bills that are moving through various states of development around here. It's the thing we heard most about last year as we were working to get into this place or back into this place. Voters are concerned about it. But there's two sides to every ledger. And so I want to try to find ways to allow government to work more efficiently and effectively through shared services. So we're working a bill that I'm expecting will be introduced in the next several weeks as well in that area. Also working on some education things. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a passionate advocate for civic education. We're at an interesting condition in this country where not a lot of folks really know about the history of the country, the way government's supposed to work. We need a civics renaissance in the United States.
Yeah.
And so I not only wrote a doctoral dissertation on that in the last few years, but I now serve on a board over at the Jack Miller Center on their civics council to try to help focus attention on, and this is a nonpartisan, bipartisan issue, to try to focus on civics and patriotism as a way to reinvigorate the country heading into the semi-quincentennial next year, the 250th anniversary of the country.
Representative Mike Dovilla, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, Olivia. Good to be with you.
I know you've had a packed day, several committees, constituents were in the building, and you likely have a drive back, so I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Good to be with you.
Yeah. I quickly want to go over social media as always. You can follow us on the Ohio House GOP Caucus on Facebook, Ohio House _GOP on Instagram, and OHR GOP Caucus on Twitter. You can subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Representative Mike Dovilla, thanks.
Thanks so much.